Now here in Vermont, on the single busiest travel day of the year, many roads already have a slushy coating, and that's just Act 1 of this storm. Molly is live with the latest on conditions. Hey, Molly.
Good morning, Steve. As you can see, the snow from last night has turned into rain this morning, which isn't too bad for your morning commute, except things will get worse when all of this turns into ice later today. The snow started last night in the Champlain Valley around the same time as the evening commute, but in the early morning hours, the temperatures rose, and now it's turned to rain. And as they say, what goes up must come down, and by that we mean the temperatures, probably around the same time as yesterday. Travelers will want to get out early as they can because this rain will eventually slow the response time for VTrans road crew workers.
We can't pre-treat roads when it's raining, so this is a real challenge for us, but we're going to have the people out there and ready to go to get it cleaned up as soon as possible.
What we do is we prepare for the worst. We assume that the winds will be worse than they're suggesting. We assume that the icing will be worse so that we're ready to respond to whatever nature throws at us.
Green Mountain Power brought on an additional 100 crews to help them cut down drowned trees or repair broken power poles because wind is also expected to be a factor in this storm. It could knock out power to people as they're preparing for a major meal for Thanksgiving. Steve?
All right, Molly, thanks. We'll check in with you in just a bit. Molly is live in South Burlington this morning with the latest on travel conditions. Molly, how are things right now?
Well, Steve, a lot of Vermonters went to sleep last night and it was snowing outside, but this morning they're waking up to rain. Experts say if you have plans to go out and see friends and family today, the earlier you can leave, the better, because soon all of this will be ice. First came the snow and now the rain. But this storm is just getting started and things could get ugly.
I was just glad to be able to make it in before the storm hit because I've been stranded in Vermont before in some pretty big blizzards.
Travelers who moved up their flights to avoid the storm are thankful this morning because swinging temperatures are sure to cause chaos along Vermont's most traveled highways and back roads.
But this is not unusual to have a holiday that also has some weather implications when you get into this time of year. So we're used to it, we're ready for it, and we hope everybody just exercises extreme caution.
Transportation Secretary Brian Searle says this mix of snow and rain makes it tricky for crews to stay on top of varying road conditions.
We can't pre-treat roads when it's raining, so this is a real challenge for us, but we're going to have the people out there and ready to go to get it cleaned up as soon as possible.
This storm is known to pack wind as well, which could be problematic for families getting ready to roast a turkey and all the fixings. Green Mountain Power has brought in more than 100 backup crews for tree trimming and line restoration.
What we do is we prepare for the worst. We assume that the winds will be worse than they're suggesting. We assume that the icing will be worse so that we're ready to respond to whatever nature throws at us.
And based on the damage we've seen so far from this storm, it could be a long holiday week. And even though it's still raining today, expect to see a lot of VTrans cars out on the road. That's because they'll be using their interstate monitors and their eyes on the ground. So when this storm turns cold again, they'll be ready to act. Steve?
All right, Molly, thanks. We'll check in with you in just a bit. So far this morning, most airports along